Good evening. Thank you for joining me on day 4 of the 49th Toronto International Film Festival. I'm Robin Citizen, Director of Programming for Festival and Cinematheque, and lead programmer for Platform, and I'm thrilled to present Flore Fortuné's The Assessment. We're pleased to present this film at the Visa Screening Room at the Princess of Wales Theatre, and thank Visa for making this possible. A sincere thank you to our presenting sponsor, Rogers, and our major sponsors, RBC and Visa, for their continued support. We would also like to thank our government supporters, the Government of Ontario, Telefilm Canada, and the City of Toronto. The Special Presentations program is made possible through the generous sponsorship of TikTok. The program is recognized for celebrating the very best of contemporary cinema across all genres and styles and from all corners of the world. The section showcases high-profile premieres from the world's leading filmmakers. This film is also eligible for the People's Choice Award presented by Rogers. Please remember to vote for your favorite films at tiff.net/vote. We would like to thank WME Independent and UTA Independent Film Group for providing us with this film. I'm also happy to introduce Jess Lucero, who will co-moderate the Q&A with me after the screening. Flore Fortuné is a Paris-based filmmaker. She's directed music videos for artists such as M83, Drake, Travis Scott, Licky Lee, and Movement. The Assessment is her feature debut, which depicts a future where limited resources dictate who can or cannot have children. It's a strikingly assured debut with a thoughtful attention to tone, aesthetics, and very strong performances. So with that, please help me welcome the director of The Assessment, Flore Fortuné.
Yeah, thank you so much all for being here. Like, wow. And thank you to TIFF for inviting us. And I would like to invite on set Elizabeth Olsen, Himesh Patel, and Alicia Vikander. And I would also like to invite all the producers on set and the writer. Yes, so sorry, I feel a bit emotional. It's my first feature. It's quite impressive. And I think this movie feels very personal to me for many reasons, but I hope and I believe it will resonate within you. And I want to say a special thank you to the cast, Lizzie, Himesh, and Alicia. You did something amazing, and you went far beyond, and thank you for that. And also thank you to Steven and Number 9, and all the producers, Shivan, Stikitan, Ogenshine, and Project Infinity for making this possible. And also to my husband Alban and my daughter May. And merci, et j'espère que vous allez aimer le film. And don't forget to stay for the Q&A at the end.
Thank you for joining us for the Q&A. Before I bring everyone on stage, we'll start the Q&A up here, and then we'll throw it to you. I'm sure you have questions for the filmmaker and the cast. Be sure to raise your hand high so I can see you, and then I will repeat your question to make sure everyone else in the cinema hears it and everyone on stage hears it. So with that, please help me welcome Director Flore Fortuné. Alicia Vikander and Elizabeth Olsen. and Himesh Patel.
Floor, such an incredible film. With you being such a well-known and successful art director already with your music videos and your commercials, I was curious about what it was about the assessment that made you decide that that's how you wanted to begin your feature filmmaking debut.
It's quite personal. And you can see at the end that dedicated it to my daughter, May. It's because I had a very long time trying to be pregnant. And I was into that process of like IVF and protocols and absurd tests. And at some point after years, I was like, why am I doing that? And then that's when like Steven brought to me the script, and I felt like such a deep connection with the couple, and I could totally understand like all the steps. And then throughout the process, I got pregnant finally. So then like,
Yeah, round of applause, congrats.
and so I could understand all the steps of the script. So yeah, it was quite passionate.
Alicia, central to your performance is this incredible bodily and physical transformation into an infant and toddler that the assessor undergoes to test Mia and Arian. How did you so fully inhabit that role, particularly the dinner party scene? You nail it. And did you find it difficult to transition back to Virginia's adult self?
I mean, first of all, you shoot films mostly out of order. So, I mean, to be honest, I told Fleur from the get-go how terrified I was to do this role. And, you know, I knew she had to, like, you know, or I had to go there. It was on the page. But also just to a certain point, you know, it was like child, and then it was little clues about, you know, the little girl saying, what age is she? And, you know, we discussed of, you know, her kind of throughout different days, going through different ages. And I mean, I did already have a then 2-year-old son, and I was 3 and 4 months pregnant whilst I was filming this. So I kind of did have this child with me. So kind of sometimes felt like he in there kind of guided me as well, you know. It's a kind of interesting thing to have, especially for this film. But no, I think I was that kind of got to me when I read the script the first time. It was a page turner, and I kind of didn't know where this character was going to go. But then it did really kind of it felt like a very fulfilling ending, and when you kind of get to meet the real her, and then it kind of, instead of her becoming this kind of villain, I truly felt for her, and that gave the role so much more depth, and that made me really want to do it.
And to take that a step further, I remember reading about you, Alicia, and you said that you only take on roles that intimidate you. Which scene in particular scared you the most to play as Virginia?
I think it was a bit more like how we shot it, you know, and the first scene where I was going to play child was the first kind of scene when they eat porridge. And I remember, you know, because everyone in the crew have read the script and everyone knows that, you know, something's going to happen. And I kind of like, so that was kind of a big day of kind of, and I mean, it was more like extreme. I kind of normally like always feel that when I come to set for the first day on any film, because you're kind of in your own head. You've been at home reading the script, doing your own work. Your imagination and fantasies have been everywhere, and then you finally come and, you know, you're going to show it to people. So it's always, it's always a bit nerve-wracking.
And Elizabeth, that final scene right there, I caught myself debating what I thought Mia was seeing, but I would love to hear it in your words, what you think she was visualizing and realizing when she stepped foot into the old world.
Oh, I really believe that what is shown is left up to interpretation. I don't know. That's something that I would rather other people answer than myself. to be honest. I don't want to cop out, but I do believe that a director chooses how to begin and end a film, and what they show is what they want the audience to use for their own interpretations and imaginations.
I do want to open it up to the audience for questions. Yes, in the front row.
Hi, just wondering, have any of you had maybe like a children's horror story, funny, happy, sad, that maybe you thought you could implement, but you thought, doesn't fit?
Do you have an experience with a child that you thought you could implement into the film, like to kind of? Oh, perhaps in your performance and your inhabiting of like the child.
Oh, I thought in the film.
Anyway.
No, I mean, we did follow the script, but obviously with any film you take on, you use your own personal kind of experiences and emotions as your tools. So, that I definitely brought with me to set.
Himesh, I was speaking with your wife backstage before watching the film. And
Oh boy.
Yep. She told me everything. She actually mentioned that you had a 4-month-old at the time of filming.
Yeah.
I was curious how that changed how you took on Aryan.
Well, certainly, I mean, in a way, answering your question as well, the trying to wrangle a child was very at the forefront of my mind and my life experience at the time. So, but also, you know, I was living the joy of having a baby, and so I felt that what he really wanted was very close to my heart at the time. Yeah.
Fleur, there's this great scene in the film where Minnie Driver kind of gives a bit of exposition about how we got to this point, how people are assessed for reproduction. Is there a version of this film where we actually don't get that backstory or kind of the window into how much the world changed to get people here?
You mean like a version where she's not doing that speech? No, it was always there, but it's like, it's true that she's giving information, but it's also like to give a take on a different point of view. Because in a certain way, she's right also about what she's saying, even though like she's behaving like so brilliantly, like an horrible person. It's true. So I didn't want like this film to be judgmental, whether like you want or you don't want to have kids. It's just like to raise questions about the decision we're making and the sacrifice we want to do for this world and the future of the children, whether we want or don't want to have them. So she makes you like question even more because she has a different take on that.
Audience questions? Yes.
Thank you.
Phenomenal performances and what a future for you. I was just going to ask Elizabeth, what's it like being at TIFF this year after not being able to come last year for This My Daughter, which was one of my favorite films that you cast last year?
Elizabeth, how does it feel being at TIFF this year?
Well, I missed it last year because we were having an actor's strike, and so it's really great to get to be here. It's been actually quite a while, it's a privilege to get to show in this beautiful theater, and it's really hard to get small budget films made, and this place makes it possible to show them and hopefully share them with the world after. And so it's such a gift to get to be here with this film.
Fleur. I'm wondering if you can speak a bit about the look of the film and the aesthetics. So it's quite an immersive vision of the future that you have, and it's a very singular vision as well. With your background, was part of the reason that you chose this project also that you could get to create this immersive future world for everyone?
Yeah, I think I always wanted to be a director because I wanted to create my own reality, and you get to do it. And it's true that there was something that was very interesting about the universe of the film, but I knew that the story was much more important. So I think one of the first things I did when I started to work on the script was to take out like all the obvious and very present like sci-fi elements. So because it's the three of them in a house, and I thought I wanted to put the performance in the front, but then it still means that you allow to create a universe that you haven't seen before, and in a certain way, and that came from the scouting the location in Tenerife, which is like very volcanic and earthy and like mineral and very strong, windy. So then we decided that it was a world where there was no forest anymore, so no wood. So then it gives you the concrete, the stained glass. It all has the meaning. Like the space of Orion is like something where he could almost like play God and create anything. It's so minimal. He could do everything and control everything. And Mia is the opposite of that. So she goes outside and she has the technology that she can fix herself. And at the end, when you go to Virginia's home, it almost feels like a shelter or a survival place where she has small objects from the past. So you can feel. I think it's very important that it relates to the character and to the story.
I think we have time for 2 more questions. Yes, right there. You. Can you talk a bit about the movement direction and what inspired you to incorporate dance?
I mean like the sequence shots. I'm sorry.
The sequence shots?
Like the first time she goes into a child. I think it's in that moment it was what was very important is to choose a sequence shot because it's the first moment she turns into a child, and I wanted to be very present in the moment, like to be with the couple and to understand what they felt in real time. So that's why I wanted it to be a sequence. And I think like it's just like in the end when she takes over the space of Orion that is so important for him and she does it on purpose. I wanted her to do like something crazy and to kind of control like the space, the sound, like everything. So then I thought like doing some kind of offbeat, like crazy dance that's maybe I don't know, fucked up teenager could do. I thought it could be interesting. Sometimes like something visual is more interesting than like a line of dialogue. I think.
No. We have time for one last question. Yes, right here.
I was really intrigued by the different responses to failing the test and sort of that grief through it. And then I was thinking a little bit about Himesh's performance in Station 11. Elizabeth, I always think about Sorry for Your Loss. It's one of my favorite songs of all time. And I guess I'm just curious about how taking on these roles and acting out these pieces and these performances over time, how that has helped shape your relationship with you.
I'm, I'm trying to paraphrase that as eloquently as you put it. So, with all of your experience in these different roles, how has that shaped your relationship with grief, and particularly in the context of this film when you find out that you have failed the assessment?
I mean, there's any job you do, you take something from it, and I feel like I grow from everything that I do. So, but I also, as your life grows alongside, I feel like I take things from that as well. So, yeah, there was a very specific grief to that moment. Speaking to what I was talking about before, his deepest desire at that moment has just been torn away from him, as it has with Mia. So it's a very specific sort of, grief that you're tapping into there, which I guess I could feel quite keenly given my own experiences, yeah.
Yeah, I think I'm not aware of other projects while working on something. I don't know if I should be or not. but I think every project somehow lives inside you, like you're saying, and you take a piece of it with you. But I don't, I think, compare and contrast. And I felt like in the moment when they fail, it seemed so incredibly absurd that the only reaction to the whole situation was for me to laugh, I guess. I hope I don't think I'm answering your question well at all, and I'm sorry, because you just watched it and that's what happened in the movie, so I'm sorry.
I can say one thing, because I remember we talked about that scene, and initially it was written where your reaction was way more, I think,
I think
it was more obvious and it was more
yeah.
intense. And then you told me, I've been thinking about it, and sometimes when you have a great shock, you just laugh. The emotion is so weird, and it's true that happens. And I thought it was so brilliant, and that's what she did, and it makes the scene so much more compelling. So I think sometimes you need to let the cast, the actor, like propose some stuff, because they know the character also. So, sorry for answering your question.
Well, it's a striking debut, and it's a film that's set in the future, but it feels incredibly resonant to several things happening now, and it's incredible performances. So thank you so much for sharing it with the Toronto audience, and thank you for your
so
questions.
Much. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thanks for being here.